kind of scary to be here with a real legend in sports. And Bobby, 12 ACC championships, national championship, Hall of Fame. You've done it all. You know, one of the winningest coaches in the history of football. But I know that's not the most important thing to you. I know the most important thing to you and what makes you so esoteric in this business are your kids. Talk about that.
Excuse me. You mean my children or the football players?
The football players,
kids.
yeah.
Yeah, they are, you know, as a coach, you know, that's one thing I try to bring out when I'm talking to the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, is that we've got so many young boys coming to play ball that don't have a family.
Right.
And the daddy's gone. You know what? Now, I was lucky enough to have a father coming up. I didn't know there was any other way. You probably were too.
Yes,
you know what?
yes, sir.
But I get boys coming in that they never had pop. They don't know what they meant. They don't know what they've missed. You know what? And the FCA is trying to get these coaches. I've told my coaches, man, we got to be a dad to these guys. We might be the closest thing to a dad he ever knows. You know what? And then you're trying to get the athletes to be role models for your children, my grandchildren. You know, that's what the FCA is trying to do, and that's why I'm for it 100%, boy.
Coach Bobby, when look at the spread offenses today, but I kind of chuckled to myself a little bit, and you have to be chuckling to yourself a little bit because when you were, back in the day, you had Charlie Ward, and you were running the spread offense before the spread. I mean,
Sure
before the spread offense. What do you think of what's going on today that people kind of snagged a lot of what you did?
Well, you know, it is amazing. But I lucked into it in 1992. See if I'm right. 1992. I had Charlie Ward at quarterback.
Well, it's a great team.
And we were thinking, oh, boy, what a great quarterback.
Yep.
What a great option guy. He'll be a great runner. Well, it wasn't good for him. You know what? But we noticed that when he got into the shotgun, and we only used it in the last minute of a game.
Sure.
It was our 2-minute offense.
Sure.
You know what? And so we noticed that every time he got into the shotgun, we scored. So we said, heck, we're going to use it the whole time. So his last year, we were in shotgun probably 80% of the time because that's where he can operate the best. Yeah, now I see it everywhere, and it's a big part of everybody's offense.
You should be
right
sending
now.
you residual coach checks on that. Bobby, when you were a quarterback in college, and could Bobby Bowden, the quarterback, how would he have fared playing for Bobby Bowden, the coach?
You know, I thought you were talking about the system. You know, if we'd have had shotgun when I was in college, that would have been my thing. Because I ran the ball as much as I threw it.
Right.
You know, I was one of those guys that dropped back to pass looking for a way to run. Well, that's the way football is nowadays. That's why football has gotten so explosive now, is because people are putting a quarterback in that can throw and run the football. He can kill you two ways instead of one, you know. And but coaching me, if I'd have had to coach me, it would have been hard because I always believed in discipline, and I always believed that the coach was the boss and that he might be wrong, but he's still the boss.
Coach Bobby, the game today is evolved, as you know, and you're one of the major members to make it evolve. It's a wonderful game and a great game with great coaches and great kids. What changes do you think need to happen in college football to even continue that growth down the road?
Well, you know, one way, I wish they could keep agents out of it. Agents got a lot of money, you know what? And so many of these kids, like I said, don't have fathers. They don't have money either. You know what? Mother might have 3 jobs, trying to support her 8 kids. You know what? And so the temptation of taking a bribe, some of them don't know any better. They've got to learn better. You know what? But somehow I'd try to get the greedy agents out of it. There's good ones, but I'm talking about the bad ones.
On the way out, Bobby, the best coach. I mean, you're one of the greats ever. But the best coach in your mind that you've kind of rubbed elbows with, that a guy that you walked away from saying, oh, man, this guy's something special.
Well, you know, the guy that influenced me as much as anybody, and he was kind of my idol, was Bear Bryant at the University of Alabama. Of course, I was raised 50 miles away from him, you know. And but, gosh, Joe Paterno at Penn State. I honestly believe when Joe goes out, he might be remembered as the #1 coach ever. You know, he's put in, over nearly 60 years at one school.
Yes.
And he don't violate rules. And he's won championships. He's done everything. You know what? I can't stand him, though.
Bobby.
I'm kidding there.
No, I know, Bobby. Bobby, on behalf of Buckeye Cable, BCSN, and all the people in the Toledo community, thank you so much for giving of your time to young people and coming to the FCA function today. We're honored to have you here. Thank you.
It's just a pleasure to be here. As I said something earlier, 1963 was my first visit here ever. I was recruiting for Florida State University. So it's been a long time since I've been here to Toledo.
Well, we're going to make it a nice night for you, Coach. Thank you so much. Bobby
you,
Bowden, legend in football, legend in
very
life.
much.
Thanks.